Hello and welcome to Wellness Wednesday. I'm James Currie with the Communication Department. I'm talking to Daniel Pocase. He is a registered nurse here with us here at MCHD. Daniel, how are you?
Hi, good morning. Doing well.
All right. Well, we're going to talk about a taboo subject, right? This is something people don't talk about, or maybe they're kind of talking about a little bit more now, but it's colorectal cancer screening. And you got to recommendations say at least 45 years old or more, you need to start getting screenings. That's correct, right?
Correct.
So you are just a hair over that age, right? And you've gotten your screening done too.
So actually, I was one of those that had screening a little bit before the recommended age. I was having some lower GI issues, and as one
Mhm.
does, goes to see the GI doctor and get some recommendations. And the first thing he recommended was let's do some further investigation and recommended a colonoscopy. So I'm currently 42, so I'm edging closer to that recommended age that I would have had it anyway. But glad I've already had it done.
That's good to mention because everything I've read and everything I see says 45, but like you mentioned, if you are having some issues, you go see your GI doctor, you don't have to wait till you're 45, and
That's
obviously you
right.
didn't, so that's good. So if there's any kind of complications, you would have been ahead of the curve and been able to catch that. So uh, what kind of motivated you, or were you reluctant at all to get screened?
Honestly, no. My GI doctor, Dr. Gravenides, who was at the time with Alabama Medical Group, and he really eased my fears. I mean, he talked to me about the different options. You know, Cologuard was an option, but he wanted to be a little bit more thorough and be able to visualize some things. So colonoscopy was the recommended route. So I said, absolutely, let's do this. So
Yeah, you mentioned Cologuard. You see that commercial on TV quite a bit, and that's a completely different experience than actually going in to have that procedure. Uh, so there is some preparation work ahead of time before the colonoscopy, and people like to joke about that, but it's just part of the process, right? So,
mhm,
and you're asleep. You don't know what's going on. You don't know what's going
absolutely.
on. So by the time I've had it done too. It was the best sleep I ever had in my life. I I really I asked them to let me sleep a little bit longer, but they wouldn't let me do it. So normally, say you're first having problems or you hit that 45-year-old benchmark and your doctor recommends this. But if, say, there's a history of cancer in your family, would they accelerate the timetable to make it earlier for you?
Yeah, usually you'll see them recommending as early as 40, sometimes even earlier, depending on the severity and the cancer risk, family history that you have in your own family.
Yeah, and I have a history of cancer on maternal and paternal sides of my family. So that's why we're mindful to watch it. And I think most providers recommend to get that done every 10 years, but my personal timetable is I have to have it done every 5 years.
Every
So
five, right?
yeah. So you know, did you? I mean, was it expensive? You know, people that just don't know what to expect. Do most insurances cover this and things like that?
Yeah, it really depends on your insurance. I think at the time I had Blue Cross Blue Shield of Alabama, and for the most part, it was covered. It was an outpatient procedure at Surgicare here in Mobile, and the only fee was the $200 copay that would cover the services of the facility. But the test itself was covered.
Yeah, and like you mentioned, excuse me, that it is dependent on your insurance and you know what you mentioned, the price you had to pay. I mean, obviously that varies, and we certainly wouldn't want that to be a barrier for someone to keep them, prevent them from healthcare. The first thing to do is, if you're having issues, to go see your provider, and your provider will work with you to work through some of those barriers as well, because they don't want colorectal cancer to consume you.
Yeah, most
Uh,
definitely.
uh, Anything else you want to maybe mention about the procedure, or any you know people are a little, like we mentioned at the beginning, we're going to talk about something that's taboo. Uh, but we're starting to see commercials on TV and in mainstream, and it's a little bit more talked about. So, what do you think the biggest challenge is for people, or other than the biggest stigma to overcome about it?
So honestly, for me, the hardest part was just drinking all the contrast solutions. So that's something that you have to do the day before the exam. They give you the solution, you pick it up from the pharmacy, you mix it at home, and then you drink it the night before and the day before the exam. That was really the hardest part. And once you get there, it's as simple as them checking your vital signs. They do start an IV to get the anesthesia started for you. And then once you're in the procedure room, you're done before you know it, and you're awake again. So it's that simple. It's
Mhm.
painless. There's no after problems after the test either.
Yeah, and we're both sitting here talking about it. We both had it done. Um, I wouldn't say the prep is a rite of passage or anything like that, but it's part of it. They uh, let's just say, uh, the whole area has to be completely clean and prepared before that procedure.
That
So
is accurate.
that's the part of the prep that people don't like to talk about. But that's only just the day before. You'll get some of the best sleep of your life the day of, and then you'll get results that will be helpful for you. And if something is detected, then you know about it right away, and your provider can start to figure out some type of treatment plan also too.
Yeah, unfortunately for me, we weren't expecting to find anything, and they did actually find some polyps that they were able to send off to histology. And fortunately for me, they were the non-malignant, non-cancerous type. So they did schedule another outpatient procedure to have those removed surgically. And thankfully, that was something that they found, because those were the kind of cells that could have evolved into cancerous cells. So I'm thankful that we caught that early and got that taken care of.
Yeah, absolutely. And that those are things that they're looking for in that type of screening. And that's really the most complete and thorough and accurate way to screen. Uh, Depending on your risk factor, Cologuard may work for you, but if your doctor does recommend the colorectal screening, I mean, we're both sitting here, we're highly recommending it.
No, I definitely recommend it if you have the means to do the colonoscopy, and you're not opposed to the anesthesia portion of being put to sleep. That's really the only downside that people are a little bit leery about. But if you've even had the as simple as the dental procedures, and you've had the laughing gas, you're typically going to tolerate it very well.
Well, I appreciate you talking about this subject, and also, from being a patient and then also being a medical professional as well. So, you get to see both sides of what we're talking about in the procedure. So after we wrap up, I'm going to also play a commercial that is from the CCA that kind of talks a little bit about screening. So stay tuned for that. And Daniel, thank you for uh, being here on Wellness Wednesday.
Thank you for having me. It's my pleasure.
You should have gotten a colon cancer screening, but stuff came up.
I said I wouldn't do this.
You said you get it taken care of,
Why is this
but stuff scheduling a colonoscopy was always at the top of your to-do list. But stuff? Yes. But did you know that colorectal cancer is the second deadliest cancer? So if you are 45 and older, it's time to take care of your screening. It's the best way to prevent colon cancer, and there are multiple screening options available. Talk to your healthcare provider and choose the one that's right for you. To learn more or find patient support, visit the Colorectal Cancer Alliance at ccalliance.org or call 877-422-2030. Don't let stuff get in the way of your screening.